Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we have a really fun, exciting, wonderful, um, piece of content and stuff for you guys. It's gonna be so great and juicy. But honestly, I actually am looking forward to it. We're gonna be talking through some stories of being on various sets. And it's mostly in the indie amateur world. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, neither one of us are like Hollywood professionals at this point, but we understand like the etiquette and decorum that goes into it, and we use that etiquette, decorum, and decorum on indie sets. And sometimes, man, I meet folks that I'm like, "Have you ever done this before?" Like, I'll start with a short story. This one's pretty short. It was also like over a decade ago. So, even if those people listen to this story, they probably wouldn't even know it was them. And if anybody listens to my story and figures out who these people are, well, I don't even think I'd be mad. In about 2011, I think it was on Craigslist, a listing for a uh, like acting in a short film. And I acted, and they liked me, but they said we need other actors who like look like you to play you at different parts of your life, and we don't have those. So, do you want to be our sound guy?
Okay. That's a
Because
bit of a plot twist, but
because
all right.
they saw that I had done like boom audio before, and I did it. They told me I recorded like too quiet later, but ultimately the project fell apart um,
Of
for
course.
other reasons. But there was one day where the director was a college kid, um, super young. This was like a big college project. This was not like a paying thing. Um, so I want to say there were like 3 or 4 days of shooting. There was one day where the director, the college kid, and the DP, who was probably more than twice our age. He's like done other projects and done bigger and better things before. I don't know how we got roped into this, but him and the director are like arguing off set, and we're all waiting for them both to show up on set. And uh, I one of the one of the guys on set. See, to me, I view this as kind of like a testament to etiquette. Like, I was aware of like the kind of etiquette to have on set for the most part, even though I was just a young kid, just out of school, just this, just that. One of the guys on set looks at me and goes, "What do we do?" I was like, "What do you mean? What do we do?" I was like, "I'm the sound." He was like a PA, and I'm the sound guy, and he looks at me and goes, "What do we do?" I'm like, "Can you ask me that differently?" He's like, "Well, like, I don't know, the DP and the director are fighting, and I don't know. You just seem like wise and stuff." I was like, "I don't know what to do with that." I said, "I'm not aware of the full argument. In terms of sheer hierarchy, the DP is outranked. But I mean, if they don't figure it out, the DP could quit the shoot." Um, so I mean, in terms of hierarchy, director wins. I said, I guess we just stay here. We wait, and if the director shows up, we do what they say needs to be done. Simple as that. But it was just so weird. Like, I don't know, I was just a kid. I was probably younger, maybe the same age as these other kids. And he's like, well, you seem wise and stuff. Literally, wise and stuff is what I was told. And
Yo,
I
dangerous combo,
I
potent combo.
wise and stuff. And I'm not saying that to like toot my own horn or anything, but I think it's just I think when you have the right etiquette on set, sometimes it's so rare to see that people kind of look to you for direction in hard situations. It's not it that's probably the most like blatant and strange time it's ever happened to me, but it's not the only time it's ever happened to me. I think decorum can take you a long way, especially on a lot of indie sets because There's not a ton, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but there's a lot of indie sets that have issues with professionalism. If you're clear-headed on set and you recognize the proper hierarchy, some people actually look to you as like a leader. It's very on paper, it's very strange. It's super bizarre because you would think that everybody on set knows it, but they don't because for some people it's a hobby, not a job. And I wasn't ready for it.
I'll tell you this, as a little story, you know, God bless everybody that was involved or whatever. But I will
As a
say,
precursor, God bless you
yeah,
all.
yeah, exactly. As a precursor, God bless you all. You're all pre-blessed. Um, what what I will say is that I was on a project once. I'll tell it that way. I was on a project once, so it was a writer director. Of course, not there's anything wrong with that. Not to sound like Seinfeld. Not there's anything wrong with that, because there isn't. But writer director type, very young. Again, that's not a problem.
No problem.
But very inexperienced. Also very headstrong, and one of those people that was very much like what you were saying, as far as these tiny little details that like they just didn't want to give up, right? Things in the script that just had to be said this way, and et cetera, et cetera. Meanwhile, there are all kinds of actual details that that they were totally not paying any attention to whatsoever. One huge thing was, if I'm remembering correctly, there were three actual characters in this short. Um uh the main character and um the I'll say like the primary supporting character, because you saw them more than the other one. Um they met like once, and then they had no rehearsals together except like on the set. And like neither of them had their lines memorized. And on top of that, I mean, what I'll give them is they didn't even necessarily have a lot of time to do it. But yeah, so in general, it was not a great situation. And then on top of that, as far as like a location scout goes, I don't think there was one. And so, yeah, I know.
That's crazy.
So it was only off the basis of the director. It was at his friend's place, and so he knew it, but all the rest of us were going there for the first time. We didn't have like any pictures or anything like that. So we showed up there. We didn't even know how we were going to shoot in there. We didn't know how we were going to set up lighting. We didn't know how we were going to do audio, any of that stuff. Um yeah, I know, right? I know. Oh, and that's the other thing too. So where we got the gear from, um we got shafted on audio equipment. So we didn't even we put in for a boom, didn't even get a boom. And so, and on top of that, we got a field recorder, and we got no batteries with it. And there was some other set, yeah. And then there was some other stuff too, that yeah, that was wrong, and things that were missing or whatever. So we had some C stands. So literally, we we clip these mics into the end of these C stands. And when I say it was brutal, because you have no shock absorption. It's just a metal pole. It's just metal pole going into metal pole. Any kind of movement, I'm telling
Wait,
you,
was the
oh, it
microphone
was
what? Was it like Velcro to the pole?
no. So we used um those knuckles that you can use to to attach arms
Okay, like
to,
to
yeah,
to a C stand, like one of those kind of. Okay,
yeah,
gotcha,
yeah.
gotcha, gotcha.
And so we clamped it in there. Yeah. So, and that's how we boomed it, because we didn't even have, we didn't even have, because of the way that we had to shoot, we couldn't even have someone in there to stand and hold it, because also the arm was so short. And on top of that, when we did try it, you could literally hear just all the squeaks of like, you could just hear everything. You could almost like hear the joints of the person. It was just nuts. Yeah, it was really, really bad. That entire situation was really, really bad. So, we get there, talent gets there, and they haven't had any actual like rehearsals together. Okay, well, the director, what does he do? They do things, and then he basically says nothing, or he says cut, or he's like, yo, that was pretty good. What?
That's it.
Yeah.
All
Or,
right.
or he's like, oh, yeah, maybe if you try, uh like, you're supposed to be a little bit more like angry or whatever. It's just like, it's like, yo, what?
Can I just
Like,
have you be angry? Can I
yeah,
just?
it's
Can
it's
you just
it's like,
be
yo,
angry?
translate that into like actual like uh, uh, uh
Feedback.
yeah, actual feedback and actual like character motivation. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the
Yeah.
thing. You have to like provide
Yeah. Absolutely.
motivation and context for the talent, so that they can play the character and play the scene in the way it's supposed to fit within that story and within the narrative.
Yeah.
And
Sometimes I feel like when I'm on a set, because I do stuff behind and in front of the camera. So I mean I
mm,
have an understanding of what needs to happen on both sides, which
mm-hmm.
gives me an advantage on a lot of sets. But sometimes people just don't get my humor. And so I'll get in front of a camera and I'll stand and I'll look at the director, and as a joke I'll be like, "So what's my motivation?" And then they'll take it seriously. This one has nothing to do with how wise and stuff I am. This one is you ever watch Film Riot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Are you kidding me? Yeah, they're the OGs.
yes, they're still great.
Ryan Connolly and
Yep. Ryan and Josh, and I think there's a Tim. Um, I would, man, I would. They're above my pay grade, but I would love to work with them on something, anything someday. I'll act for them. I'll act for you guys. Just like, I don't know, pay for half my flight, but give me a roof, give me a place to stay. I'll act for you, please, please, dear God. But I remembered one episode where they showed like just a camera trick. They were like, hey, here's a cool camera trick you can learn in case you need a funky shot that looks like this. And I was like, that's really cool. When will I ever use that? And then years and years and years later, I'm on a shoot, and they said to me, they were like, okay, so in this part in the script, like our character senses something. Like they feel like something is coming. So how do we want to convey that? And again, no storyboard supervisor, no script supervisor on set, anything like that. So I wanted, hold on, hopefully this doesn't mess up OBS, but I wanted to show what this thing was, because I have to actually turn my camera off to because I think I can actually show it. I have to swap the lenses, so it has to be done with a camera. I would say go 50 mil or higher and keep the aperture very low. This is a Rokinon 50 millimeter Cine DS. It is not
ooh.
not super duper expensive. It is like plastic construction. Um, it has sliding aperture, declicked aperture, and it's like fully manual. Like this is 1.5. This is a little ridiculous. Let's can I nope. Oh, there we go. Yeah, let's bring that down. All right. So the idea is you have your aperture as low as you can go. How close can I get and still have it focus on me? Around there. So what you actually do is you slightly, and it made sense. He's like, I want it to feel like something's coming. I need them to sense something. But if you just have an actor on camera just go like
Yeah.
so they call it, and you've probably seen it before, the lens separation trick. Have you heard of that before?
No,
It
I don't think
is
so.
when you actually, the lens is partially off the body, um, and you kind of hover it over the sensor, and it creates like this. Like my camera's on a tripod right now. All this movement is me moving the lens just with my hand. So like
Wait, what?
my my
Oh, I
camera's not
understand what
moving.
you're saying.
My lens
Yo,
is
that's
moving, and
crazy.
it moves things kind of like in and out of focus. So you kind of got like these shots with the eyes that would be like in and out, and so I did that to create like a distinction, and then mixed it in with like some sound effects and stuff to give it like their whoosh 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 sound. And I could just stick with this lens, right? Yeah, but it's manual. The lens is manual. But does that make sense? You know what I mean?
Yes.
So like all
Yeah,
that,
that's pretty sick.
isn't it? So all this movement, the camera can be on sticks when you do it, and it still looks relatively chaotic. Um,
Yeah.
uh, and you have to keep the aperture kind of low though, because you're going for that bokeh, you're going for that, all that fancy schmancy low aperture aberrations. That the word I'm looking for, I think. Yeah, and I mean, to be clear, some of those lessons I learned because I was bad at it. I didn't learn those lessons, like I didn't come out of school knowing all of the ins and outs of decorum. Like when I came out of school, I came out of a school where I worked with people that I knew for 2 straight years. Like when I
Oh.
say 2 straight years, I don't mean school years. I mean calendar years. I was at that place for like 730 consecutive days. Like there's even times where like maybe a year and a half ago, I look back at my conduct on a set and I'm like, probably should have shut your damn mouth. I remember one I was on. It was like a fight scene, and I just remember saying out loud like, it doesn't even look like he connected. Oh my god. And then later I got home that night and I was like, shut your damn mouth, Tim.
Yo. You said the quiet part out loud.
But I mean, with editing, maybe it will look better. I saw some of the other angles they got, and I was like, okay, maybe I see where you're going. But like, I don't know. In my brain, I was like, that has to be a pretty harsh mix for you to win me over on this shot. It was just but I got home that night and I was like, shut the fuck up, kid.
Yeah.
Just let them make their movie in peace. Like
Yeah.
I part of it's when I do things like that specifically. One of the actors who he plays a character, I suppose they'd be classified as like a vigilante. The actor, I bet, is a nice person, but when they were on set, they were acting a little bit method. And I gotta tell you,
Okay.
I have a hard time with that. Like, I get that people have their approach to acting. I tried method acting once. Sadly, it worked. And I was a little bummed out for the next couple days, so I called my sister Trista, who I'm sure we'll probably have on this at some point to talk about the acting aspect, because she and I both have in front of camera acting experience, and she's a good storyteller. She helped me through that, but like I was like, "Oh, hey, are you playing so and so?" And he like responded to me like in character, and I don't know the character. This is my first day on set. It's the first day I've even heard of this. So I don't know if he's talking to me like he thinks I know what's going on, but he responds to me in character, and I look at him and I'm like, "What?" And the way he talked was like really quiet too, and I was like, "I can't hear you." He's like in his own mind playing this character, and I'm out, and I'm not. I don't mean to sound like a dick when I say this. I'm out here in the real world going,
Yes.
huh?
Yeah.
I get why some actors have to do that though. Like some actors probably feel like they can't do it unless they get completely into the stupid
Into the darkness, into the
yeah
void.
into the I bought a power supply. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Auto power off is set to disable, and my camera disagrees. But I like I get why some people have to do that, and after trying it, I get it, but I see the dangers in it because it did something to me. I don't know if I'll never do it again, but like me, like I'm super like in and out. Play pretend, done playing pretend. Play pretend,
Yeah.
done playing pretend. I think I looked at him and said like, "Oh, your method," because I didn't have a filter for that shoot apparently. Like I didn't have it. I guess I dropped it somewhere on my way to the shoot. I was like, "Oh, your method." Like I just
Got him.
it was like 2 years ago. I swear I've grown since then.
So there was a super super short um project. It was pretty cut and dry. It was gonna be silent. It was based on action, so there was gonna be blocking and that kind of thing.
Was the whole thing
Um,
MOS? The whole thing?
uh, no, I mean, technically, we added stuff in later, or rather, one of the guys he ended up adding stuff in later. Um, but yeah, the whole really it was MOS, but
Okay.
yeah, if me just like trying to answer that simple question, if like my answer to that is any indication of what this production was like, yeah.
All right.
So
Take your word for it.
yeah, so simple, straightforward thing. I think it was gonna be like a minute. It was like a minute to 2 minutes, something like that. It was gonna be action, beginning to end. And what we were doing was we were doing lighting for the entire scene and like shooting multicam.
Okay.
Um and so uh getting coverage of like all the zones. Um and so we did pre-pro, and we laid out the floor plan and all that other kind of stuff. And did that, obviously figured out what angles we were gonna, all that. Um okay, cool. Well, production day comes. What happens? Well, the two guys that were, the heads in charge, the director and the DP,
Classic.
I got to keep it a buck. They're idiots. I don't usually say that, but they were idiots.
I
And
like how you're not worried about your future career with them at all. You're like, they're dumb as hell.
yeah, they were complete idiots. And so what ends up happening is we go through all that stuff with like all that planning and whatever else. Comes time to actually like set up and to you know get lights put up, and that kind of stuff. The lights, they changed the entire, not just the lighting scheme. The reason why they changed the lighting scheme was because they decided they just want to literally change everything, the whole thing. These people wanted to change the entire thing. So
What does that mean, the entire thing?
like literally all of the angles, the like the actual path, like so the actual blocking for the scene itself, all of that.
On set.
Yes, they changed it all. They we started setting the stuff up, and then they did exact like I said, the common thing like, yo, what would be so cool? And I hate that. What would be so cool? Yo, what if we did Like, if ever you hear that, like, on a set, you know you're screwed.
And no, wouldn't it be cool? Hey, DP, can you?
You're so screwed. As soon as people start saying that, like, you're so screwed. And like, when they're actually taking time to consider it, you're screwed.
Mm-hmm.
So that's exactly what happened. So, okay, fine. And we're on like a deadline. We only got a couple hours to do it. So here we are. They're changing everything over and over and over again. We're not even like figuring out and like just roughing in lights and seeing like, okay, like, this could work, this might not work, whatever. Like, these are gonna be the problems here. Like, it was like basic things and work together. Like, okay, what's happening with the shadows here? You're gonna have all this spillage over here. You know what I'm saying? Like, this light is too bright, right? Like, they're having exposure issues. They're having like, it's just like so many things. It's like, okay, well, yeah, sure, you like the coverage there, but now that camera's it's literally in the shot, or that C stand is literally in the shot, or like, these colors don't match. You have two different colored gels. Like, it's just like, it's insane, right? Okay, cool. So we're going through all that. They changed the lighting all these times. And number one of them actually like breaks a light.
Oh.
Yeah. They break a light. It was an Ari. I don't remember which one it was. Whether or not it was but yeah. So they broke that light and act like it had just stopped working. I was in another place getting some other stuff with the set together, but once I heard it stop working, I was like, oh yeah, they broke that. Then they caught a gel on fire because they use yes, idiots. I'm telling you, idiots. They caught a gel on fire because number one, they used the wrong kind of gel. They used a gel that was supposed to be for LEDs, and they used it on a hot light like an idiot. Then number two, he literally, oh my god, he took the gel and put it on the light.
On it, directly, on a hot light, on the bulb.
Yes.
Ooh.
Directly on the light. He didn't clip it to a barn door, nothing. He put it on the light.
On an like, was it on an Ari?
It might have been
Those
might
get
have been
hot.
on a Mole Richardson, actually.
Okay.
But yeah, it was hot, bro. It was hot. This man clipped it to it. Then he went off, started doing other stuff, and then it caught fire. And then he was trying to act like it didn't catch fire. And yeah, so that was nuts. That happened. Then okay, so now we spend a whole bunch of time moving all these lights around, changing all the stuff with the, with the scene and whatever else. Then you want to know the conclusion that both these guys come to. Yo, you know what? I really like this other way. Like, if we try this other way, you know what that other way ended up being? And the idiots didn't even realize it? That's right. You guessed it. The original plan. The way we were supposed to do it the entire time. The entire time we were supposed to do it. Yo, when I say I was so pissed, bro, I was so pissed. But, like, that's the thing. Oh, that's another thing that I want to say, too. So then we go to actually shoot the thing. Here we go when we talk about talent. Do they actually work through the blocking? Do they actually work to make sure everyone's comfortable? No. Of course they don't. All right, cool. So then we have a bunch of problems there. We get bad takes. But now also because we burnt through so much time getting the lighting and getting
burnt through some gels. Don't forget that.
Oh yeah, burn through some gels too. Because that now we don't have a lot of time to actually shoot. So now we just have to go. So we have all these takes that really are bad, but we have to just roll with it. So we have that. And then number 2, one of the guys, I can't remember what he said he was. 'Cause I think he said that he was the director and the other dude was the DP. But that dude decided to take his camera and he wanted to do his own thing because he just bought a whole bunch of attachments to build out a rig. So he thought that would be a perfect time to test that out. He takes it, starts doing like these, yes, dude, doing like following shots and tracking shots, all this other kind of stuff. And of course, when we look at the footage, what happens with it? That's right. It's useless. It's completely unusable. It's terrible. It's terrible. It looks absolutely atrocious. He didn't get the exposures right at all. He used a terrible lens for it. And also, none of the camera work was actually stable. And on top of that, the framing was god awful because, of course, who's thinking about framing, right? I have a really cool camera package, and so yeah, that's good enough, right? I have a cool lens, that'll be fine, right? Yeah, no, it's terrible. He's an idiot. They're both idiots. It was such a waste of time. Once you show me, like, right off top, that, like, you're not gonna listen to anybody but yourself, and the only time you're gonna listen to someone is when you feel like they're echoing what you already want to hear.
Yeah.
There's nothing for me to say. All I have to do is encounter that once, and now I know how to navigate you. Now I know how to deal with you. And so that was my thing with them. Is like, you know what? I already know all this is going to be a train wreck, and I told them that, and I told them that in the kindest way possible. And I told them that the when we came and we did the location scout and when we were, working through how all this stuff was going to, the floor plan and all that, I told them that. And, when we get there day of and y'all are trying to change things, and I'm saying, hey, we actually worked on this stuff before. And we worked on it really hard and we thought it through. And there are reasons why we did what we did. I feel like we should just stick to that. And when you don't heed that warning, I'm not gonna, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're all adults. You say you're the director and you say you're the DP, dude. I'm not gonna interfere with any of that. I'm gonna let you go through that problem because at the end of the day, a lot of those people too, even when that happens, even when they bonk their head, they don't learn from it. They don't learn, right? A lot of those kinds of people. Now, there are people that do learn and that learn over time. There are people that start off, hotheads or, really stubborn and that kind of thing. And they do change and they do grow. So it's not like, just writing people off all the time. But in that situation, I knew, like, oh yeah, I'd be wasting my breath. You know, let them fail, let them burn gels, let them piss everybody off, let them waste a bunch of time because there's no amount of me trying to interject um any kind of like measured response or way of thinking. Um there's no amount of that is going to change the trajectory of this. And then also, I know the outcome of this is not going to yield any sort of educational result
Yeah.
for them. And you know, uh, what did I learn? I mean, essentially nothing. I already knew dealing with idiots is gonna, like, put you in dumb situations, is gonna be a huge
That
waste of time for everybody, and it's gonna be not fun.
that's my other question is, where was this crew genuinely foolish uh or or inexperienced?
I'll say this, as far as the actual crew itself that I work with, they were cool, inexperienced. However, uh, understood procedures on set and also were hardworking people.
Okay.
As far as the people over us, the DP and the director, they were both. They were idiots and inexperienced. So that's why everything went to hell in a handbasket. It wasn't because of actual crew, because honestly, if they weren't there, we would have executed just fine.
Mm-hmm.
We would have, because we
You had
knew
a plan.
the
You had a
yeah.
plan. You had a plan before you went in.
Uh-huh. And so even then, I almost even forgot to talk about that. The fact that they wasted so much time arguing amongst each other for dumb stuff, again, that did not matter. And remember, this was a 2-minute thing that originally was to be MOS and was like simple. It was really simple. And why it took an entire day to get that done is insane to me. It did not have to take an entire day. So, uh, yeah, and a large part of that again was that whole, it was just the personalities. Number one, personalities clashing, but then number two, just this, whole thing of like not honoring the process, not honoring the process of like, okay, we do this and we do this and we do this. Let's follow it all the way down the line. You know, let's not cheat the story. Let's not cheat ourselves. Um, let's just do what we're here to do. It seems so straightforward and so basic. Yet there we were. Um, there we were, moving a bunch of heavy things around 5 times and putting it back where it initially started by the end of it. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like it was yeah, it was terrible. But I know a whole bunch of people have had those kinds of experiences too, even on higher
Yeah.
level sets too.
Was this a paid gig or was this exposure dollars?
No, it was it was just, like helping kind of
Okay,
thing,
gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Do we want to do anything or say anything to close this out?
Is my mic on? Yeah, it is. Bye.